Shalom, shalom, listening audience. This is Israel United in Christ, and this is the Writings on the Wall radio show. All right. To my right,
Officer Joel.
Officer David.
Officer Sampson.
Officer Elijah.
Officer Obadiah.
And I'm Officer Low Size.
all right. We got a special guest by the way of Nigeria, by the way of, I said Nigeria. Oh, gosh. Liberia. My bad. From Ohio, Columbus,
That's
Officer
right.
Joel.
That's right.
Welcome.
That's right.
Well, welcome to Tallahassee, Officer.
Yes.
All praise to the Father. Happy to be here.
All praises. I heard you had some chicken earlier.
There
It was
you go.
good. It was good. A-Town.
You said A-Town.
A-Town.
A-Town wings. Make you stomp, don't it?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Chicken's so good, make you want to stomp. All my people say. All right. So let's get into it. As you know, the Writings on the Wall coined the phrase, Elijah coined the phrase. What is our phrase, our term?
Your place for end time news.
Your place for end times news. Here we go. All right. What we got?
This is ESPN.com. Ohio high school football coaches fired after player says he was forced to eat pork.
Very interesting. So you may read that title and think it's someone, a Muslim, right? You may think someone practicing Islam. Let's read some of this article real quick.
Canton, Ohio, the head football coach at an Ohio high school and 6 other coaches there have been ousted after a football player said he was forced to eat pork in violation of his religious beliefs for missing a voluntary workout.
Now, it sounds like that coach had it out for him either way.
Right.
He missed a voluntary. It means you didn't have to go.
You didn't have to be there.
Okay? It said if it was damn involuntary,
Right.
say that. Shoot.
Right.
Shoot. It was voluntary. Read on.
The Canton City Board of Education voted unanimously Thursday to not renew the coaching contracts of
Oh, gosh. Canton.
All right.
Okay, this is when I take over. The Canton City Board of Education voted unanimously Thursday to not renew the coaching contracts of Canton McKinley head football coach Marcus Watley, 2 of his assistants, and an assistant baseball coach. The Canton Repository reported. With the same vote, the board also deemed 3 other assistant football coaches as ineligible for future coaching positions. Let's pick up light skin. Read on.
The district has suspended the coaches last week after the 17-year-old player reported what happened to him on May 24th. Another coach was also suspended, but he will remain as an assistant coach because the evidence did not show that he acted in the same manner as the other coaches, officials said.
Now, we're going to get to the meat of this article. Let's find out why this particular football player did not want to eat pork. Read that.
A lawyer for the teen player's family has announced plans to sue the school district. The player and his family are members of the Hebrew Israelite religious faith.
Wait a
Wait a second.
There you go.
Wait a second. We don't made ESP in the end.
ESP.
We don't made ESP. Now, let me ask y'all, officers. Let me hear y'all thoughts on this. How y'all feel about this this situation?
I'll go ahead. I'll say this is nothing but a rewind of what happened to our forefathers back during the Greeks' time. How they used to force them to eat swine. And then, like, perfect example, Eleazar, when you read in the 2nd Maccabees, the 6th chapter, how they showing you this old man that had a reputation in the village. They had come and eat a little bit of swine so everybody can see you eating swine, so everybody can follow that pattern. And the whole purpose of that is so our people can remain in their sin. So Esau know what they're doing when they're forcing our people to eat that crap.
Hey, let's read that. Give me that. 2nd Maccabees 6 and 18. Let's go there. 2nd Maccabees 6 and 18. Because you're absolutely right, officer. That's exactly what are we? We are our forefathers, right? We are reliving the past all over again. There's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Read that.
Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 18. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh.
He was constrained, similar to how our brother was forced by his football coach. Read.
But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment.
Now, here's the thing right here. We see that our forefather Eleazar, he said, "Hell no. Nah, I'm not finna do that. I'm not finna eat this swine's flesh." Okay? And now I want to make a parallel, all right, between our people now compared to our forefathers. Give me 2 Ezra 5 real quick. 2 Ezra 5. And we're coming right back, so don't drop it. Give me 2 Ezra 5 and 54.
Second Ezra, chapter 5 and verse 54.
Come on.
Consider thou therefore also how that ye are less of stature than those that were before you.
Mm-hmm.
And so are they that come after you less than ye, as the creatures which now begin to be old and have passed over the strength of youth.
So over time, guess what happens? Things get watered down. You understand? So we saw that Eleazar was bold enough to stand the face of death, but the young brother, he conceded to that thing. Or
Right.
something.
Now you good.
Okay, now let's go back. Let's finish that off in 2 Maccabees.
Second Maccabees 6 and verse 20. As it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted. Verse 21. But they that had the charge of the wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision.
So now they're saying, all right, we won't actually make you eat the swine's flesh. You could choose any venison, chicken, beef, whatever. Choose whatever flesh, right, and pass it off as pork. All right, read on.
Such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
Read.
That in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereunto he was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by God. Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straight ways to send him to the grave.
So he said, forget that. You know, even though I won't actually digest that swine's flesh, just the thought that it's going to put in my people's mind.
Right, right. Yeah,
You
the image
understand?
of that,
He
yeah.
said he was willing to lose his life. He lost his life because of that, because he didn't want to set the wrong example.
Right.
Now, I also want to look at this in another dynamic, because last time I checked, when it came to sports, that's not our custom.
Right,
At
right.
all.
Right.
That's not the Israelite, the black man and black woman. That's not our custom. So what happened here? Give me that in Psalms 106. I like this one. All right, their parents blurred the line. You understand? Now, yes, that football coach totally out of line. Deserved to lose his job. You understand? Because that's not his child.
Right.
He can't force somebody else's child to do that. But now let's talk about the parents.
That's right.
Let's talk about the parents a little bit, because a lot of people, they don't want to deal with that part. They only want to be in uproar about the fact that he was forced to eat swine. But wait a second. Should he ever been put in that situation?
No, sir.
Right.
Read what you got.
Psalms 106 and verse 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them,
Right. We didn't destroy the nations. Read.
but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
That's what happened. We were mingled amongst the Americans, and what's what we learned? The game of football. We love Super Bowl Sunday. You understand? Right. Although they understand that they are Israel, and they understand that their forefathers are greater than discus and all of these other sports, but yet they got him wearing what the tights.
Right.
They got him in the uniform, showering with boy. They got him doing all of that.
Somebody come and look at this.
Right. And because even in the sport, When do they play? They play Saturday.
Right. Saturdays. Wait, yeah, Friday night to
Friday,
Saturday, Sunday is
Saturday,
high
yeah.
school.
Right.
They're breaking the Lord's Sabbath. So how are you gonna teach your son the difference? Give me that in Sirach 33:7. Because he's gonna be a little bit confused because you're telling me I gotta come to Sabbath, but you're letting me play football on the Sabbath? What kind of lesson is that, really teaching that young man? Read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 33 and verse 7.
Start at 8.
Verse 8. By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished, and he hath altered seasons and feasts. Some of them hath he made high days, and hallowed them, and some of them hath he made ordinary days.
Right. Now read verse 7.
Verse 7. Why doth one day excel another, whenas all the light of every day in the year is of the sun?
Right. So the question is, why does one day excel the other? Because that's how God designed it to be. Now, playing football on the Sabbath, what are you saying? You're saying that the Sabbath is an ordinary day,
Right.
just like the other days of the week.
Right.
You understand? And that's called confusion. You're not training that child up in the way that he should go. You're actually telling him, 2 Maccabees 4:15. 2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 15. Watch this.
2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
There you go. Setting honors, you should be, bringing the Sabbath in at the house or at the school or somewhere. No, but you bringing the Sabbath in on the football field.
You a big dummy.
You understand? Now, Lord's will, they young, they really don't understand. You understand? I don't want to make fun of them or anything like that. You understand? So they may hear this, but you have to understand, you can't, give me that in Revelations 3:15. All right, we cannot be tweeners. We can't be tweeners. It's either we're going to stand for the Lord or we not. Okay, because guess what? He got teammates on that team. And guess what? They all know that he's a what? He's an Israelite.
Right.
So what type of example is that showing them?
Bad example.
Exactly. Read that.
Revelation chapter 3 and verse 15.
Come on.
I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth.
Right. So we have to understand, brothers and sisters, and Lord's what they do hear this particular clip. We got to understand, we got to be an example first and foremost. Somebody has something?
Let me
Yeah,
get
go ahead.
some. Give me 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and 34. Obviously, they not completely, like Cap was saying, they not really fully repented. Read that for me.
2nd Ezra chapter 14 and verse, you said 34?
Yeah.
Verse 34. Therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding.
To subdue your own understanding is to let go of the old man.
Right.
Let go of the thought process that you used to glorify in the old days. Maybe the father probably used to play sports, or maybe they still think that there's a way out by playing sport and make it to the NFL. You gotta let go of that old glory. Read on.
And reform your hearts.
Reform your heart. How you reform our heart is through the Bible. By you start meditate in those scriptures day and night, knowing in there you will have living life by keeping God's laws. Living in glorifying the way of the heathen is what gonna cause you death. You're teaching your son a bad lesson.
Right.
Go ahead.
Also, something that we got to think about as Israelites, we got to live according to these scriptures. Give me that in Proverbs 3 and 35. We normally pull this out for our sisters, but this goes in the same sense of we got to stop envying our oppressors and doing the things that they taught us, doing the things that are not to our benefit. Our oppressors have used us for mirth before, and they're still using us to entertain them, to be comedians, to be athletes, just to wear our body down just for the entertainment. Read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor.
And if anybody don't know who your oppressor is, think about who had your ancestors in slavery for 400 plus years. Understand, they are your oppressors. Even though you probably have forgiven them, the Bible called them your enemies and your oppressors. Read.
and choose none of his ways.
The Bible say choose none of his ways. Football is their ways. Basketball is their ways. The Grecian sports are their ways. They are not the ways of the Israelites. And God makes it very clear why we put ourselves in these predicaments.
All praises. Let me get Proverbs 22, read verse 6. Because I'm going to blame the parents, because the God gave us laws as a nation of people, and we should teach our children. Because the parents failed to do that, that's what this happened. Because at 17 years old, you should have a form of knowing better. You should have a form of knowing better. Read that scripture.
Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 6. Train up a child.
You see that? Train up a child. That's a responsibility. If you're married, you want to have sex, you should know that child's coming out, you have a job to do. Read that from the top.
Train up a child in the way he should go.
In the way that he should go, come on.
And when he is old.
When he is old, come on.
He will not depart from it.
He will not depart from it, because you're not going to be there every time with him. Right. Sometimes he's going to make decisions on his own like this. He can easily walk away. But because he wasn't trained, that's the reason why this happened. Because football is not important than God's laws.
Right.
But because the parents failed him, that's what happened. That's the result of this. One more scripture, Cap. Go to Deuteronomy 6. And read verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 1.
Come on.
Now these are the commandments.
Or the what?
The commandments.
The commandments, come on.
The statutes and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you.
See that which the Lord your God command to teach you. Command to teach you. Come on.
That ye might do them in the land, whether ye go to possess it.
Now read verse 7.
Verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently.
Diligently. You gotta put heed to it. You got to pay attention. Teach them diligently, come on.
Unto thy children.
Your children. Because this captivity is not this place we live in at. Everything opposes God's laws. So you got to do better in teaching your children. Come on.
And shall talk of them when thou sittest in thine house.
When you sit in your house, come on.
And when thou walkest by the way.
When you walk it by the way, read.
And when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
When the child about to sleep, teach them the law. When the child wake up, teach them the law. So when foolishness like this occur, the child know what side to choose from.
Right.
That's all we got to do. We have to do that as parents in the Black and Hispanic community. That's it.
Right. All praise. And another thing, that when we do be around these other nations, just like the scripture that Cap said, they're going to be a snare unto us, how we mingle around with them. We're going to start doing like the evil. It's going to take over us. We're going to start doing the things they do. So by being around, like saying, like the sports industry, Esau them, you're going to start doing imitating the oppressor. Like the black women these days, they put blonde hair in their head and stuff like that. And just like the brother right here playing on the sports and things like that, we're not teaching our children how to grieve the enemy. Give me that in Sirach 30 and start at 1. Because the Bible tells us he that teaches his son grieves the enemy. And by playing these sports and things like this, that's not grieving the enemy right there. Let's get that.
Sirach chapter 30 and verse 1. He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod.
So if you love your son, love your daughter, you're going to cause them often to feel the rod. You're going to correct them, read.
That he may have joy of him in the end.
Right. Correction meaning what? If they doing anything outside of doing keeping God's commandments, you got to get them in straightly, read.
He that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance.
You see that, rejoicing him among his acquaintance, the friends. When you bring your child around your friends, you're gonna be like, hey, this is a nice son, this is a nice daughter right here. Read.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy. And before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
You said he that teaches his son grieveth the enemy. Now, if this young man grow up, you know what I'm saying? This is a pipeline right here anyway. Grow up, going to the NFL, make it to the NFL. What he gonna do with the money? Probably get a white woman. Probably hit her and stuff like that before he can get put straight back in the jailhouse.
We used to scream black power. while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are how men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.